Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Kung Fu Hebrew, aka Salt. Y'all know what it is. How everybody doing tonight, man? You know what I'm saying? It's another Friday coming to you live. What I want to get into tonight? It's a lot of stuff I got to get into tonight. If you checked out the last program, then you know tonight's topic is going to be Jacob and Esau. And I'm not going to really go into their lives because, once again, the 40 days and 40 nights concept, right, is basically what I call a foundation. Simple. I'm not going real deep. I'm not trying to disprove a lot of people's preconceived notions. I'm just saying, you know, I think when we went to church, right, it was like you got into church, get saved, and then, you know, like kind of fend for yourself a little bit sometimes, because as a pastor, I think it would be difficult understanding that you have people that's been in church for years. You have new people, you have different things. So like I said, the 40 days and 40 nights is just to, number one, dispel some of the things I think we got wrong, but to basically lay a foundation. I'm not going to get into what I would call a teaching, like my own beliefs, my own doctrine, because if I'm doing that, I always say before, look, this is what I believe, and y'all know where my opinions and where my thoughts need to be on your list, because I've said it multiple times, all the way at the bottom, that's me. So anybody else you should probably be listening to before me. That's the reason why the majority of the things I quote on the show are other people. It's not necessarily my beliefs when I say, in my opinion, and I always try to make sure I do that. You got to stay tuned because I'm going to answer one of the, it's not even to me that deep of a thing. I just think right now, based on kind of some things that go on in different organizations and different communities, it's not even that big of a question, but I'm going to answer the question that I promised last week. And I worked out this video, and I found out I got a new little tool on here I can use. So we're going to go through who is Esau, okay? Like in 2023, who is he now? I'm going to break that part down. But like I said, this ain't going to be a lesson. It should be a fun lesson. You know, I hope you learning something. I hope you've been learning something and just kind of enjoying the journey that we kind of been going on as far as these things go. But once again, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank all my subscribers. I want to thank all the people who share the show. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like just getting general information and knowledge out and being able to look at something as important as what you're going to claim, your eternal soul is resting on. Like, that's why I always say, don't take my word for it. Go back, read for yourself. That's why I set up study questions. I do different things. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into the lesson because you know, somebody, you know, the queen is gonna want her steak, so I can't be on here for an hour tonight. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go ahead and do what I gotta do. I really hope y'all enjoy the video I made. I think it's funny. We'll get to that in a second, and I can kind of pause it to make sure I don't have no copyright infringements and stuff like that, because I did have to put some music and other. You'll see. We'll get to that point, but let me just go ahead and let's get into it real quick. All right, so Jacob and Esau 2.0. And somebody asked me, and they said, you know, why do you always put black people on your slides? And I said, well, I spent the previous 39 years believing everybody in the Bible didn't look like me. So if now I want to say they do like me, what's the problem? If you found out the people in the Bible look like me, would you stop believing? That's the question. I believe when I thought they didn't look like me. So now that I think they look like me, I don't see what's the problem. But once again, this is what every civilization and culture does. You're normally going to make it reflective, as you saw with the other guys we spoke of, right? Like, that's normally how it works. You create your spiritual system based on people that look like you. Nobody normally worships except for except for the majority of black people in Christianity, in quotation marks, worship the God that doesn't look like them. And all other cultures and civilization, that's normally not true. You look at all the Asian gods, Asian. Indian gods, Indian. Native American gods, either some type of animal or Native American. They normally don't worship something that's just the complete opposite of them. But once again, let's get right into it, man. This is Jacob and Esau 2.0. All right. Something I was just going over. Obtain your own understanding. All right. This is my opening thought right here. Do your own research and do your best to come to your own conclusion where your beliefs are concerned. Just because I or anyone else says something that you can agree with, pray to your creator and reach your own understanding based on your own idea and concept of God. And basically what that means is, one thing I noticed is, if you go to church, right, if you're a Christian, right, then your beliefs are normally based on what your pastor's beliefs are. They're normally going to be based on, that type of denomination. If you're Catholic, same thing. Whatever your belief system is, you're normally going to follow. And sometimes we blindly follow the people because we believe those people are messengers sent by God, because that's a lot of times there is a God told me to be in this position. I was called by God. We sometimes get that, but unlike a lot of people in the Bible, and I'm gonna get into a little bit of that tonight when I start talking about prophecies and things like that, you got to be very careful who you trust your eternal salvation and your eternal soul to listening to, because the bottom line is, if you are wrong and it's because it's something that maybe you could have obtained the own understanding on your own, then that could be problematic, of course. But that's the reason why I say, hey, this is just a base. Once again, I don't want to be nobody's pastor. I don't plan on opening nobody's church, camp, mosque, temple, anything, anytime soon. No, even anytime soon. The only people I plan on teaching is my family and my kids, and that's it. I'm gonna talk about that in some later episodes. I ain't gonna get into that yet. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep praying. But you want to be able to go into the book. Don't believe it because I say it. Don't believe it because I quote something from Josephus. Don't believe it when I give you these Google breaks. When you go back and watch the show, do some research, because the bottom line is, once I start getting into the real kind of things that's happened to the Bible, you're going to have to understand that we're not reading the original text. And once you understand that we're not reading the original, that's why you really need to start trying to study this on your own. Okay, so everybody should go out and, like I said, don't listen to me. I'm gonna give my opinion, because some of these things are, even the fact that I have black people in the slots, that is my opinion, right? Doesn't mean the people in the Bible were actually black. That's what I think, right? But just because I say it doesn't mean it's actually like that. All right, some personal study questions, right? When you hear the prophecy of Jacob and Esau, which one do you believe was considered the stronger? And that's the bird prophecy, where it says, and one will be stronger than the other. Do you believe Esau was a stronger twin, or do you believe Jacob was a stronger twin? There's something to kind of think about. Which prophecies do you believe haven't been fulfilled yet? This is going to be a topic that I go when I go through the prophets later on, because like I said, I'm going to let you know kind of what the next lessons are going to be. I'm going to go Moses, right? Then I'm going to skip all the way to the Messiah, Jesus, Yahweh, whatever you call him, right? I'm going to skip to the Messiah. Then I'm going to come back and I'll explain that reason a little bit more. So you got to understand, next week will be Moses, and the week after that will be the Messiah. And it's like I said, then I'm going to come back and then kind of fill you in between, where I'm going to talk about the kings, the prophets, the judges, the Exodus. Well, I'm going to talk about the Exodus next week, so we'll get into that too. Okay? So which prophecies do you feel have not been fulfilled yet? Like, for example, we are with Jacob and Esau. So there's a prophecy over Abraham's descendants we already talked about. They were supposed to go into captivity. Shout out to Skissy Tobias checking in. If you out there, man, you can go ahead and give me a little wave, check in, so I can go ahead and shout you out. Shout out to the sis, always supporting the bro, man. I appreciate it. But just, going through the book of Isaiah, a lot of different prophecies. You haven't got to Isaiah yet, but there's something that you need to kind of look through on your own time. But I said we had a prophecy about the world being destroyed with water, so that Noah prophecy has already been filled. There was a prophecy over the seed of Abraham that they will go into captivity, or they would be basically they would go into bondage for 400 years. Up until this point, that hasn't happened yet either. So as we continue, I will try to point out the prophecies as we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right into it. You'll know, as always, the books that I'm using, the Tanakh, that's not the original Hebrew, but that is the Hebrew version of the Bible. And well, not the Bible, because you got to understand the Tanakh only goes to a certain point, because I will explain that later. And I will even say, once again, my opinion kind of makes the Bible problematic to a certain extent, because we don't have an original Hebrew that takes us all the way from Genesis to Revelation. We have original Hebrew for a lot of the Old Testament, but not all of it. All right. What up, Jamina? Oh, man, both my sisters tuning in tonight, man. Shout out to y'all, man, checking in. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, get into my little lesson for the night, man. Jacob. All right. So Jacob was a younger twin born to Isaac and Rebekah. And Josephus says that this is around the year 1857. And we got to understand, if you've been keeping the track of the timeline and you've been watching the other videos, then you would know that this is basically about almost 3,000 years after Adam. Okay. So I believe in the first slide, if I still had it, I believe they said Adam was created around AN 46 something. So that would mean that this is 3,000 years after Adam came in. That's based on the book of Josephus. So that's everybody who's been watching. That is oh, I got my books tonight, so we real good. That will be one of my books that I really enjoy reading, which is The Antiquities of the Jews by Flavius Josephus, who, for y'all who haven't been watching the other one, that is just a first century historian who basically chronicled the Bible. So some people who say, oh, the Bible isn't real, well, at least it's 2023, at least 2,000 years ago almost, or somebody will say, oh, exact 1950, 70 years ago, there was a man named Flavius Josephus who basically used sacred text, because at that point it wasn't called the Bible, because you have to understand, from Genesis to Revelations is the Bible. It's like back in the day when they had like No Limit. It's a compilation CD. Okay, the Bible is just a compilation of books, but you got to understand that text came from somewhere else. You understand? So Genesis was its own text. It wasn't probably even called Genesis. You understand what I'm saying? But you got to understand, the way the Bible was brought to us was it was brought to us in a form, so that way I can say, oh, Genesis 2 and blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure if it was numbered. I'm not going that deep yet, but I'm just trying to tell you that you got to understand, when I speak of the Bible, I'm only referring to it in the most common term. Okay. So Jacob means heel holder or supplanter, which is Strong's H3290, which is Hebrew still. And that's how you say his name in Hebrew. Okay. And it says Jacob is the patriarch of Israel and of the 12 tribes. I'm going to get into that as well too. Just basically talk about the 12 tribes briefly, not a long time. All right. And it says Jacob was described, I don't know, I put that in there twice, but once again, I was kind of rushing. I ain't gonna front. As a plain man dwelling in tents. Once again, there was no physical description given of Jacob. Okay. Jacob was given Esau's birthright for a bowl of red lentil pottage, and that can be found in Genesis 25, verse 29 through 34. Okay, and this is one of those things where I need to kind of do a little break, but I'll get to that when I talk about Esau. So remember, Jacob was given Esau's birthright, because I know I've heard this before. People say, did Jacob lie? Was Jacob deceitful in what he did? And I'll get to that when I get to Esau. Okay. It says Jacob pretended to be Esau to obtain the blessing of the firstborn from Isaac. Okay, it's because if you remember, that is why Isaac and Ishmael had conflict, right? Because Ishmael was the firstborn. Okay, so based on the tradition that was going on, if you were the firstborn, you were supposed to be the inheritor. That's the reason why Sarah did not want Ishmael to inherit everything Abraham had, because first of all, even though he was the firstborn, he wasn't her child. So you got to understand that firstborn had a lot of things to go with it. So that's the reason why you see Isaac inherit everything that Abraham had. That's the reason why they were a very well-to-do family. Okay, and it kind of continues. Okay, Jacob married Leah and Rachel and was given their 2 handmaids for wives also. The reason why I say 4 wives, right? Because sometimes in the Bible, they had to be his wives, and I'll explain why. Because we say the 12 tribes of Israel. We don't say like the 8. Okay, because you got to remember, the legitimate children, I got to make sure I get these right. Let me see. Legitimate, if you want to consider Leah and Rachel, easy. Rachel had Joseph and Benjamin, so that makes 2. Okay, let me see if I can get it. Simeon was legitimate. Levi was legitimate. Reuben was legitimate. Judah and I know Dinah. So that counts 7. I think I'm missing somebody. So if you know who the other one is, but I want to say it might be 8 if you don't consider the children by the handmaids legitimate. All right. So I want to say it's either 7 or 8. I think I might have missed somebody. Apologies to whoever I had. But at the end of the day, Jacob had 12 sons and 1 daughter. Okay. Let's keep going. Esau. All right. Esau means hairy. All right. This is H62:15, which is Hebrew. And the blue letter Bible says he is the progenitor of the Arab people. Okay. So I'll come back to that in a second. Now, if you look at descriptions of people in the Bible, Esau is the first person in the Bible who we get a physical description of. That's why I said he came out red and hairy and red all over like a hairy garment. He was the first person in the Bible that was described as being red. The reason why, and I told this in my other slide, the reason why I believe he was red is because I believe at this point in time, everybody in the Bible was like the color of my shirt. Okay, so even being this brother's cover, which is brown, I believe that is the reason why, because you have to look at Esau as being a break from the norm because it didn't describe Noah. Now, I know some people say in the book of Enoch, it says Noah was an albino. I ain't even, like I said, we ain't even got into alternate theories and stuff because I just wanted to, get basic first, right? Because we got to establish a basic foundation. But the thing is, when Esau came out, Esau means hairy. So a lot of people get this confused because after he sold his birthright for the suit, right? That is when he is called Edom, which then means red. So if, I'm going to get into, because one of the theories out there is Esau is the white man, the Europeans. But I've already gave you my thoughts on that. Let me see what I got on here. Yeah, my sister says many newborns are born hairy. I mean, once again, I don't believe that is a trait that is specific, but once again, I got to get through all of this because I think it's going to make sense. Okay, so if he was just red as they say he was, because even if you Google right now, and I think I got a Google break after this, if you Google lentil pottage, it's a brownish color. It's not going to be red like you see in the screen, like that I'm using in my slides. It's not that color red. It's brown. And then once again, I told you in my slide, well, not in my slides, but if you saw the video from last week, all all mammals that are considered red, from red cows, red wolves, red bears, which would be like a Kodiak bear, they're all brown. Okay, so the one thing, and I can get into a little bit of that because this is a simple way that I look at it, right? Every animal on earth adapted to its environment. So the closer you are to the sun, the equator, as they call it, right? You have animals that basically match their environment. That's why you don't have snow leopards in Africa, right? Why? Because there's no snow. You don't have snow foxes. You don't have polar bears, right? Anywhere where there's really no snow. You say, well, there are brown bears in the snow. I get it. But the thing is, when you look at where a polar bear is, he's surrounded by everything is white. So that is, I believe, what happened to people over time. So if we all understand that the original man came out of Africa, and I don't think anybody would really deny that, then where you get what they want to call white people from is, I feel like over time, right, your pigmentation started to change to adjust to your environment. That's the only thing, in my opinion, that makes sense, because otherwise, I mean, I got some alternative theories that I'm going to get into, but that's after we establish the foundation, okay? Now, another thing about Esau being white is you got to understand Esau had 3 wives. The first 2 were Hittites, right? And if we know where Hittites were, that means they came out of the land of Canaan. So if you watch the other 2 videos, who's the land of Canaan? That would be the Hamites, right? If you remember what Ham's name means, it means burned sometimes, okay? You know what I'm saying? Or dark or black. Sometimes it even means that. But you got to remember, this is where the Egyptians, Kemet, Cush, all of these empires came. So if Esau married 2 black women, as we want to call it, jet black women to begin with, okay, then he went out and got a daughter from Ishmael. So he had 3 wives. And who was Ishmael? Ishmael was 50% whatever you believe Abraham was, and 50% Egyptian. So once again, we got to be talking about some very, very dark individuals here. But once again, I ain't trying to get all on skin color and stuff like that. I just need to kind of set up what I'm going to be talking about later on. Okay, so let's keep going. All right, so I'm gonna take a little quick Google break because it's hot in here, And I'm gonna be back in about 30 seconds. So I just want you to Google lentil pottage and tell me what color that is. Google any red mammal. Okay, red horse, red cow, red wolf, even pit bulls that are called red nose. Look at what color they are. I'm gonna give you about 20 seconds and I'm gonna come back. Be right back.
Okay. Let's go. Okay. Let's go. Okay. Let's go.
All right. So that should have been enough time for you maybe to pull your phone out and Google it real quick. Hopefully you right back. Hopefully you didn't click off of it. Now you ain't watching the stream because you're trying to Google lentil pottage. Let's just get into it real quick. The 12 tribes of Israel. Now, okay, I've included 3 charts because there are multiple charts that exist as far as these 12 tribes. Some of y'all have probably never seen this. Now, I know some of y'all have seen these brothers that are out in the streets, most of the time, you can say teaching, you can say yelling at people, however you want to view them, right? You got these brothers called Hebrew Israelites. They belong to these groups called camps. They use the chart on the left, right? This is the one. Okay, and these are all the children of Jacob, okay, which is Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Manasseh, Simeon, Zebulun, Gad, Reuben, Asher, Issachar, Naphtali, okay. One thing that I would like to point out is Dan is missing from this chart. So that's just something that I always take into consideration, okay, when I look at this chart, because I'm like, well, what happened to Dan? And then some people say, well, Dan is not in the 12 tribes that is still in the book of Revelations. We a long time from getting that, but once again, I just like to show y'all what exists because sometimes y'all don't even know about this stuff. The one in the middle, okay, is kind of a counter where they say all the 12 tribes are Negroes, okay? So that's another one. And then the one on the right is the European chart where it says Ephraim is Britain, Manasseh is the United States, Reuben would be France, Simeon is scattered, apparently in Wales. It says Levi would be scattered with the Jews. Yehuda are the Jews of Judah. Issachar would be the Swiss and Finns, and you can kind of see the rest of them where they go. But these are basically 3 different groups of people interpretation of the chart, okay? Or not even the chart, because it shouldn't even really be a chart, right? Because the bottom line is nobody knows. I call myself the Kung Fu Hebrew because I can call myself an Israelite, but I even go back further than that. I can even say I can believe that I descend from Eber. And once again, nobody is trying to take the name Hebrew. Last time I checked, nobody's called himself Hebrew. Some people are, but it's not like, oh my God, nobody calls himself a Hebrew. So stop it. Okay. So you have 3 different charts that exist out there. So I just wanted to put those up so that everybody can see that. Now let me see something real quick. Okay. All right. So let me go back one slide here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this up real quick. All right, let me go ahead and take you off. All right, now without further ado, I worked very, very hard on this. I'm gonna stop it in between. It's gonna be a little bit long. It's probably gonna take about 5-6 minutes. Then I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But this is a video, right? Because amongst the so-called Black Hebrew Israelites, as they're called, the basic what do I want to say? Like basically, like the general understanding is that Esau is the white man, right? Because if we are Jacob, if we are Israel, then our arch enemy would need to be kind of sort of our evil older brother. Okay. But before I go into that real quick, I just want to talk about the deception part, because a lot of people I don't want to say they get it wrong, because we do understand that Jacob was being deceptive with Isaac. However, you have to remember Esau sold his birthright, so he was no longer entitled to the blessing of Isaac as the firstborn, because that's what Isaac was going to give him. Okay, so the fact that Jacob was able to obtain the birthright, Esau was never entitled to it to begin with, because if Esau had done the righteous thing, in my opinion, when Isaac was going to bless him, he should have said, Father, I've already sold my birthright to Jacob. But he didn't do that. So I think sometimes people say that Jacob was being, he was deceitful. What did Esau do that was so wrong? I get it. Sometimes people look at Esau as being like, like he didn't deserve that, right? But I already talked to you about the reason why in another video, why Esau was allegedly tired. Because in the book of Jasher, if you go back to one of my first couple of videos, it said that Esau killed Nimrod. That's the reason why he was so tired, and he had just killed Nimrod and his bodyguard, and then he came back. That's the reason why he's so tired. Once again, you can take that with a grain of salt, but the one thing I don't think we look at, because once again, we want to be able to examine the Bible a little deeper. Esau was described as being a man of the field. He was a cunning hunter. So this is what he does, right? So all I'm going to say is, I'm not saying he just killed Nimrod. All I'm going to say is, what was he doing that was so different? Because he was a man of the field. He was used to it. What could he have possibly been up to where he would have been that tired, where he wasn't not even, he thought he was going to die, and he didn't care about even selling his birthright. All right. So I disagree with the so-called Black Hebrew like doctrine that Esau is the white man. I completely disagree with it, right? And you've seen that from my other videos where we talk about, you know, Japhet, and I've already told you who I think the Europeans descend from. But this is who I believe Esau is in 2023. And I'm going to go through the video, and I'm going to stop it and talk a little bit and explain it. So hopefully we can make it all the way through the video, because, yeah, I took some stuff on here. But I hope y'all enjoy this. So here we go.
Moreover, our tradition tells us that the Edomites are the ancestors of the Romans, and indeed of all Europeans and the entire Christian world.
Oh, and just for the record, the reason why y'all are going to see this gold glow, fair use, is because I don't want to get no strikes. You understand what I'm saying? So the reason why you see that little gold glow, I'm trying to mess with the, you know what, let me go ahead and turn my little background music on so we can see if we can mess with this, algorithm a little bit. So let me go ahead and turn my little background on. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's real smooth. I like that. I like turn down a little bit. So we're gonna try to throw the algorithm off. All right. So let me go ahead and get back to what he was saying.
Put on humanity and then get butt naked on a cross to die for both you and me.
The Midrash says, quote, 2 orphans were left to Esau, namely Remus and Romulus. And you, God, gave permission to a she-wolf to suckle them, and afterwards they arose and built Rome. Unquote.
You so-called white people are not really white. You are red, according to the Bible. You are the nation of Edom. You are the nation of Edom.
Esau is the father of the white race. That's right.
Which is Esau, the red man, the real red man. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Who's cursed. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
His skin, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know what you were saying. You don't have to keep asking.
Blood shows through his skin, you know what I'm saying? He's a cursed man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I believe I know what you are saying.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it right here. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. So basically, I use that term, the white man. I stole that from Kevin Samuels, but that means the white man. I just call him the white man because I think it was funnier. But yeah, that is. So if Esau is not the white man, then who is he? So now I'm going to go through and explain who I believe Esau is in 2023. So go ahead and let's get to the next part.
Well, let's see if you can't make everyone proud. The category is people who annoy you.
Okay.
As always, we give you the letters R, T, S, L, and E. We just need 3 more consonants.
Okay, well, looks like you're gonna get a lot of help here.
Category is people who annoy you. Audience, keep quiet, please. Ten seconds, Mr. Marsh.
Well, I know it, but I don't think I should say it.
5 seconds, Mr. Marsh.
All right, I'd like to solve the puzzle. Niggers!
Niggas have got to go.
What did you say, bitch nigga?
Nicklet?
Genesis 25 verse 25. And the first came out red, all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau.
Pause, Granddad. If it sound gay, it's gay.
Genesis 25 verse 23. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
There's like a civil war going on with black people, and there's 2 sides. Black people, and there's niggas.
Hey, that's Uncle came to you when you sitting there on this grill, boy. Nigga, we cousins. Fuck, I'ma call you uncle for. It's crazy, man. I don't give a fuck about us being cousins, nigga. When I'm on this grill, I'm up. Nigga, Unc gets the grill fired up, nigga.
That was one thing I wanted to point out, right? Because if Esau is the white man, I know some people say white people can grill. However, we're talking about, this is what Isaac loved. Like, he wanted Esau to go make him the food like he wanted. So, you know, if we supposed to be good at barbecuing and stuff like that, that just seems a little odd to me, but I'm gonna keep going.
We have been able to determine that preliminarily that this is related to the release of the sandwich here at this restaurant.
This was a mall incident involving the Popeye Spicy Chicken Sandwich. Spicy Chicken Sandwich. Last week in Columbia, Tennessee, an employee body slamming a woman to the ground, breaking 6 of her ribs, her kneecap, and shattering her arm.
What the fuck? I don't even give a fuck. Right now, give me the fucking chicken sandwich. Give me that fucking chicken sandwich. Nigga, I don't give a fuck. Nigga, run them chicken sandwiches. Bitch, run them chicken sandwiches. Bitch, run them chicken sandwiches. I don't give a fuck. Bitch, I don't want your fucking purse. Move. Bitch, give me this fucking sandwich. Stupid ass bitches. Nigga, I waited too long up here, nigga, to not get a fucking chicken sandwich.
Cannot believe what she sees when she enters her local supermarket to buy groceries for her family. This is sad! This is sad! For 15 hours straight, looters have laid waste to the store. Some of them are still inside. This is the problem. This surveillance video shows the first moments of the break-in.
Shit, man, I don't give a damn about going to jail. Nigga, take me to jail.
Take me to jail.
Shit, lock me up.
Lock me up.
Throw away the key.
Throw away the key.
We shot your brother like a nerd. I'ma shoot this bitch when I motherfucking see you. I'm popping closet, popping arches like a bird. Sure got killed. No, you wish you had a new bike. I ain't got nowhere to go. I shot up everywhere they would. We the ones out of the field of that can't breathe beside that church. I'ma kill 14 niggas if 13 bitch niggas play.
Romans 9 verse 3. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
Nigga. Hopefully I'm still up, and hopefully they ain't stopped the video from playing, because I tried to do it or not, but you know, fair use and all that good stuff. But let me just give you offer my theory real quick. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up because I gotta go make my baby some steak real quick. But here we go. Remember, all the way at the bottom, who you should be listening to, right? So this is just my theory of Esau and Jacob, because I quoted some of the scriptures that are in the Apocrypha and the regular Bible. But when it comes to Esau, the way I look at it is, if you have a white twin and a black twin, it doesn't really mean that much. But I look at it like this. You had a righteous twin, and then you had an unrighteous twin, right? And I feel like in the black community, there's been like a battle going on for a long time, right? Because we had, for a long time. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I think it makes my bad. I should have put the disclaimer up. My bad. Hopefully she wasn't listening too intently. My bad, niece. My bad. All right. But if you think about it, right? Like, you had one good twin, and then you had one evil twin. You had one righteous twin, and they're both the same. Now you can say, oh, well, one, you know, just besides the hairy part, right? But if you had two men that were basically identical, God chose to make one of them his chosen people, and he basically could say, I'm not gonna say he cursed Esau, but we'll get to that later on. But if you look at it like that, that's the way I look at it. In the black community, I feel like there's been this internal, like Chris Rock said, this internal struggle that's been going on for a long time. You know, even during slavery, what did they say? You had field niggas and you had house niggas, right? Always been. You got street niggas, then you got educate. We've always had this. You've had the bougie black people and you've had the hood black people. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and it's always been like, to me, in my opinion, like, why do they do some of the things they do? But to me, I'm going to say, like, it makes sense to my brain. Now, once again, you don't have to believe me. You can go read up on who you might think Esau is. But I'm going to say Esau is niggas. Like, and what I mean by niggas is not black people, not the people that's going out to work, doing their thing. I'm talking about these people out here shooting, looting, robbing, all the crazy stuff where, like I said, like Chris Rock say, when you see black people doing something, you just kind of shake your head like, here we go. You know what I'm saying? That to me is Esau. And it's a point in time where they kind of get mixed in with Israel, but spiritually, I believe Esau is embodied by niggas. That's just my point. That's just my that is just my whole interpretation. Let me go ahead and finish this on up here. Next time, all right, that should say Moses. But once again, I was kind of rushing a little bit. So we're gonna have Moses. I'll be discussing one of the most influential people in the Bible. I will discuss the life of Moses in Egypt. Allegedly, some things he had going on in between going to Midian, where he got his first wife, before he went back into Egypt. And then I will talk about the Exodus. I'm not going to go into the 12. I might go into the 12 plagues a little bit briefly, just to kind of explain that, because actually in the book of Jasher, it describes some of the plagues a little different. Some of them are even a little bit cooler, in my opinion, like one dealing with the frogs. I'll get into that next week. You know, once again, you can follow me on Twitter at the Kung Fu Hebrew. Always www.libretv.co. Libre TV on YouTube. All right, and if you have any questions, you know, you want to tell me how stupid I am for saying that niggas is Esau, you can email me at kungfuhebrew@yahoo.com. Or if you have questions that you want me to answer live on air, I will be glad to take a look at it and give you my best opinion. But at the end of the day, it'll just be my opinion. So you can send me whatever you would like at the kungfuhebrew@yahoo.com. And until next Friday, Shabbat Shalom. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe out there. You know what I mean? If you got loved ones, make sure you tell them you love them. And because, you know, I ain't gonna front. Some people around are, you know what I always say, the worst. Huh? The worst. So, we out of here. Y'all be safe.